Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Committed Critics, a pop culture podcast where we're not only committed to our opinions, but also each other. Aww. I'm Kevin Lau.
I'm Ryan Davis.
And with us today is our good friend, Danny Vincent from Why Is Snub Club. And what's the other podcast called? A new one about Pixar?
It is called Looking for the Ocean, a Pixar Journey. And I was actually going to say, and I don't mind that you introduced me like that, formerly Why Is Time Dan? Why Is Time Dan is pretty much completely canceled.
Well, no, I know it's over, but it's still up there to listen.
You can still listen to my live takes on WandaVision. My 2-year-old takes on WandaVision.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
Is that really already 2 years old?
Yeah, time is weird. I hate it. I don't like growing old. I had this moment at work the other day where I work with kids, and I was talking to the 6-year-old who was like pretty smart for a 6-year-old, but I just had the thought like, dang, if I like got married after college and like immediately had a kid, you could be my child pretty much. This makes me feel old.
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah. I was like, no, I don't like that because you're like a full child. You're not like a toddler.
You have sentience and autonomy. It's weird.
Like I can have a conversation with you. But yeah.
Yeah, speaking of things that are just absolutely wild, we're going to talk about favorite theater experiences today. But specifically movie theaters, not Broadway. Although, Danny, if you want to talk about Broadway experiences, feel free to. Well, I cannot add to the conversation, though.
I will do my standard. If you listen to either of my other podcast, well, if you listen to Looking to the Ocean, I think I actually mentioned it on both Looking for the Ocean and Snub Club. My claim to fame this year is that I saw 2 of the Oscar nominees, like actors, on Broadway in 2018, way before they were famous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because Austin Butler was in the production of Iceman Cometh I saw with Denzel Washington. Mm-hmm. And then I saw Stephanie Hsu was Karen in the SpongeBob musical back in 2018. So very cool to see them both rise up this year and be like big, even though I personally don't want Austin Butler to win, but it's still cool I saw him when he was early. So,
yeah, no, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But
so when you say theater experiences, I can't talk about my time in high school in theater at all.
I mean, those are very different experiences.
Man, we could just do an episode where it's like talking about high school theater experiences and dishing old dirt.
Oh, geez, don't even get me started.
I mean, Ryan. Like, I'm not really sure I can talk about working at a movie theater because that counts as theater experiences too.
Yeah.
One of my least favorite jobs. But no, we're going to talk about the movies that we've seen in theaters that just really impacted us and the audience that we were with, and just that whole experience and how did it impact us? How much fun did we find it? Like, just kick us off. Like, for me, my most fun experience at a movie theater was watching Captain America: Civil War, opening night, Thursday night. With in an IMAX theater, an IMAX 3D, no less.
Never mind that I wasn't with you. I was gonna be like, I thought I was with you on this one.
Nope.
No, wait, this is before you went to school?
This is before, yeah.
I would not have expected that answer from you, Kevin.
No, well, because here's the thing. Like, at the time, for me personally, I think Captain America: Civil War was the last truly great MCU movie before it became fully corporate.
Wow. I have thoughts, but go on. As someone has a Marvel podcast,
in terms of consistency, yes, it is definitely a hot take. No, it's but like the people that like were there, it was also like right before. It was the movie like right before MCU became mainstream as well. So like the people that went to these opening nights for these Marvel movies were like the people who read the comic books and like were just like, or just really love the characters and really engaged with the movies. So it was just like that whole fun experience, like seeing people dress up for the movie, having people cheer during the exciting parts. And then like, obviously everyone was really respectful of each other, being quiet during the quieter moments as well. So like, it was just a really fun experience. And I love the energy of the room at the time. And then,
can I wait, before you move on, can I give a not a response about a story about Civil War?
Yeah.
I didn't put a lot of my notes in because I was like, I have a lot of like my own stories about these movies.
Mm-hmm.
So with Civil War, I saw that, I don't know if they actually did it when you came, because I remember they did it for Ultron and then for Civil War, and then I don't think I ever went to one again, is our college would buy out these theaters at the AMC and then resell the tickets for like $2 or $3.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
When I went to see Civil War there at a sold out Obviously a sold out show because the tickets were so cheap. A bunch of people from our college, and I just remember two things. One of them being well, it's more to do with the trailers than with the audience reactions. Is I made a joke. Oh wait, no. Sorry, I was gonna say no. I did go to one with you. Sorry, I went with Kevin. With you to Fantastic Beasts.
Yes,
I remember.
yeah, we went to that
I
one.
loudly groaned when Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
appeared.
yeah. We were watching it. We were like pretty good for like the first act, the second act, and the third act hits, and we're like, all right, whatever. Yes.
Well, then to tell a very brief thing there is, I remember I made the joke at Fantastic Beasts where we got that trailer for that movie that no one remembers the space between us, and I just loudly went, "Looks like The Fault in Our Mars," and I got a few laughs out of that.
Yeah, I remember that.
But that was inspired by when I saw Civil War and we got the X-Men Apocalypse trailer, where if you remember that trailer, at the end of it, the big teaser is that Wolverine like sheaths his claws because like, oh cool, Wolverine's in this, but it's also like it's a clear rip off of the Civil War trailer, right? When Spider-Man appears, and like the difference is like Wolverine's been in 50 X-Men movies and Spider-Man had never been in any MCU movie. Anyway, so our good friend Julius just says when that happens, he's like, "Whoa, it's Spider-Man!" And the entire audience just burst out laughing. That's awesome. That's what I remember was Civil War. The experience, at least.
Yeah.
Movie, I remember other stuff too. We did a 3-hour episode of my own podcast with Kevin about it.
Yeah, we did. You can listen to it. The Civil War on Why Is with Ty and Dan, which Danny doesn't want you to listen to because it's canceled. So.
2 years old. Yeah, I am canceled. Dun, dun, dun. All right, sorry.
Oh no. But as far as like, and on the opposite end of the spectrum of theater experiences, my most emotional movie theater experience is watching Boyhood. I was working at the movie theater at the time. And it was, it was my birthday. I just turned 18. And I was like, I'm going to go watch a movie. And I just by pure chance, I was like, I'm going to watch Boyhood. That seems like a good movie. And watching that my 18th birthday and like in a theater by myself felt really weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't realize it was your 18th birthday. You saw
that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I saw that right before college.
What year was that?
That was 2014.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It came out like the weekend right before my birthday. So I just decided to watch it on my birthday, and yeah, like it was wild. I cried at the end. But for those who don't know, I mean, in case you don't know about Boyhood, I mean, it's a fantastic 3-hour movie, just kind of like that's filmed over the course of 12 years as you watch this kid grow up to an adult. It's a fantastic experience.
I saw that with my friends I'd had since middle school, and I saw it literally the week before I went down. Actually, might have been a few days before all of us went off to college, all three of us. So it was like very much. I don't really remember the experience rather than the drive there and back, if that makes sense. Because it was like we had to drive. It was an indie movie at the time, so we had to seek it out. But it was worth it, especially to have that experience with those friends. Yeah,
we might talk about on the show. Because Ryan, have you seen Boyhood?
Nope.
Okay, so yeah, we'll definitely talk about it on the show at some point.
Nice. I should rewatch Boyhood. I haven't seen it since. Honestly, I think I watched it once on Blu-ray before the Oscars that year because I did an Oscar marathon of like that, Budapest, Whiplash. I think probably another one.
But, oh wow, that's a great marathon.
Yeah, they were all rewatches. None of them were new to me, but it was like, oh, and I think I watched Room again too because I really liked. No, that Room was the following year. No, Room was like, yeah, Room was the following year. I was like, Room might have been 4 years later. No, but yeah, I did an Oscar. That was like the last time I did an Oscar marathon before the Oscars.
It's awesome.
But yeah, Boyhood is great. I am a big fan. I haven't seen it in years.
Ryan, what have been your favorite theater experiences?
Obviously Black Panther because reasons.
It's a fantastic movie even without the reasons. But yes,
yeah.
Yes, agree.
Yes, I like Black Panther because it's black and I'm black. Woo!
Ryan likes Black Panther because he's white? What?
No, I enjoyed
Martin Freeman appears.
It was an interesting experience because you're just like, the thing about some black people in movie theaters is that they're very loud, and that's the only movie I'll accept where it was like loud because it was just like, yeah, just a whole lot of cheers and everything. Infinity War and Endgame were also pretty fun ones too, mainly because they were like big stories, and no one was expecting. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched Infinity War, but it's been 5 years. They all die, like half the world dies at the end, and I just remember the entire audience just going silent and like someone just goes, "What the fuck?"
I saw Endgame opening night and again then on the following Saturday. And I know opening night, like I reacted to everything, with big cheers and everything. And then like on Saturday when I saw it again, I was still cheering, but that moment like after when they yell like well, he doesn't yell, he whispers it infamously. Avengers
Yes.
assemble and they all run. I just started crying. I was like I just am like so emotionally overwhelmed by like the cheering around me right now that I just started
You
crying
wanna know
in
the
the theater.
biggest
It's a
moment of
moment.
that entire moment, the biggest thing I could focus on was like, wow, we have Giant Man just punching a giant
Yeah.
monster dragon thing in the face. I'm like, that's Paul Rudd.
I just remember weirdly, very distinctly noticing like in the run, like my eye going from like M'Baku to Thor, and I'm like, wow, we've gone so far in the last 10 years of all
I
these
know.
people here that I care as much about M'Baku as I care about Iron Man being here.
I just remember the first Avengers came out, and I was like, I remember when the trailer came out, I was like, this is not a real movie. This is just them splicing together all these other movies that came together. Because I didn't realize all the movies were connected up until
Yeah.
I saw the trailer for Avengers, and I was like, oh, wait, these movies are all supposed to be connected, so I had to go back and rewatch them all.
Yeah.
Again, I was in seventh grade when all this was going on, so I was like, little kid.
I was at the Avengers Midnight Show, and I miss that and Captain America 1 are the only two midnight shows I ever did because they shifted to earlier show times
Right.
Mhm.
after Aurora. But like the Avengers Midnight Show was so great. I distinctly remember not thinking the Hulk had a line after he smashed Loki until actually like because I saw that movie a couple times this year. I don't think I realized it until I saw it at the drive-in
Mhm.
because every other time the audience was just way too loud to hear
Yep.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I didn't. So the first Avengers actually like was another great experience for me because I watched the opening weekend and I was watching these Marvel movies as they were coming out, not knowing they were connected until Avengers came out. But yeah, then watching that Avengers in the theater in IMAX 3D, of course, was fantastic. And I actually ended up watching it twice in theaters, and then actually it was the movie that got me interested in reading comic books.
Mhm.
Oh, that's really cool.
No, that's
Nice.
the same for me.
Mine was Spider-Man 2 because I was a child. And I could go to the library and check out old Spider-Man comics.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I'm not really into comics otherwise now, so I'm boring.
No, you're not.
Didn't stick.
You're not boring because you don't read comic books. It's just it's
Exactly.
not your thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not your preference.
So instead, I went to see Ratatouille, and then I was like, "This is real art now."
This is cinema.
You
When
just
the
went,
rat
"We."
makes the food, cinema. All right, Ryan, what else you got?
Other ones, the only thing better than going to a movie theater with a bunch of comic book fans is going to one with a bunch of anime fans because they are wild as hell. The other big experience was going to see the My Hero Academia movies and the Fairy Tail movie
Nice.
because there was a very hype moments and people just get very excited when they watch those. Like I don't know how to describe it, but like anime fight scenes are like big, they're flashy, they're colorful. And you just hear people cheering. And then I remember distinctly in the Fairy Tail movie, there was an end credit scene that basically made the entire movie canon, and everyone flipped out at
Wow.
the very end and like was just like losing
That's
their
cool.
mind. Because most most anime movies are usually not canon or semi-canon. So,
Yeah. They're usually like just tie-in movies that just don't really add anything to the main story. I do wish
Yeah.
I saw the third My Hero movie in theaters because that I watched it finally a year after the theater release when the Blu-ray finally came out. And I actually really love it. So I'm upset that I missed it.
I keep meaning to catch like one of these anime movies, but like an anime movie because I have AMC A-list, and usually after the first 2 weeks they like let it be available. I'm trying to think what was the Demon Slayer. That's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, that was a good.
I didn't
experience, too.
see it, but I kept meaning to get around to it because after like the third week they allow it to be A-list eligible. And I'm like, this could be cool, like for me to do. Because I do it for like Korean movies and Indian movies I've never heard of,
Right.
but I've just have never really. Usually, the anime movie always gets like a bad showtime.
Yeah.
Like, after once
Yeah,
it's
that's
A-list
true.
available, so it's like, well, I can't. I'm not gonna go to 9 p.m. for this
Exactly.
movie that I have. Yeah.
Because they
It
don't
also
expect it
depends
to
if you
have
wanna-
they don't expect to have a lot of business, but like anime is becoming more and more popular.
The thing is that there's such a fan rush though. Is that,
Yeah.
like after that first week, and that's when it's not A-list eligible. It's like
yeah.
It also depends if you want to watch it in dub or sub, because usually
Oh.
the subs will have better times, the dubs won't.
See, I actually though do prefer the subs. So if I can find a sub time, that is what I aim for.
Cool.
Just in general, I don't like with foreign films. One of the movies I'm going to talk about has a dub available on Netflix, and I'm always telling people like try not to watch the dub.
Is that RRR. Is that how you
Yeah,
pronounce it?
RRR. I'm gonna talk
Okay.
a lot about RRR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead and go into it.
Okay. Before I go into RRR, can I just can we talk about the Marvel thing? Right? I mean, you know what? No. You know what? I will put a pin into that because I realize I can talk about that after the break with our subject that we have coming up after the break.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put a pin to it. But yes, RRR. So first off, before I really get into the specific movie, I'm going to talk a bit about my favorite place in all of Chicago, which is the Music Box Theater.
I
Music
agree.
Box Theater is my church. It is. It is. I say that kind of jokingly, but I also say
With
that
complete
I asked
seriousness.
well, no, I was saying because I think you initially asked me. I don't think you gave me a time, but I was thinking, oh shoot, this is probably gonna be around 2. So I asked for 4 because I went to church this morning. I went to see a Billy Wilder movie at the Music Box this morning.
It's awesome.
And it was great. I've been seeing they've had a whole series these past few weeks where last week it was a sold out screening of Some Like It Hot. Where it's like the audience was laughing hysterically at the whole thing. And today I watched a Cold War comedy he did called 1, 2, 3, which is really great. But anyway, so first I have 3 ones to talk about, and RRR is the only one that takes place at the Music Box. I saw RRR kind of like actually what I was saying with I was aiming to do with the anime movies back in April of 2021 at an AMC by my work because I get the Indian movies and it was A-list eligible.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun. I really enjoyed it at the time. But it was not, my audience was kind of, it was like third weekend. People are not as hyped about this as they could be.
Right.
Cut to, I think, October. I get an email from the Music Box because I'm a member there saying, hey, we are going to have a one-off screening in November with S.S. Rajamouli, the director, in attendance. Members get pre-sale. Definitely get your ticket at pre-sale because this will sell out.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my good friend Julius about it, and Julius hadn't seen it yet, so we're both like, yeah, let's go. And as soon as tickets go on sale, I buy it. Within about 8 or 9 hours, this showing is sold out. I think pretty much like as soon as it opens to the public, it sells out within like 5 minutes. Pretty much.
Wow.
So
That's yeah.
we go to that screening, and it is incredible. It is people are cheering at the moments where you expect them to cheer. When at the end, when Rajamouli comes out, people give a standing ovation to him. My claim to fame here is I don't know if any of you've seen RRR.
I haven't. It's on my watch list. I know of it. It's just it's on my watch list.
I keep seeing it on Netflix, and I'm like, do I want to watch this right now? But then I see it's 3 hours, and I'm like, oh.
Well, 2 things about the Netflix version. One, well, in general, the first is just the movie has a built-in intermission. So if you want to break it up over 2 days, it has like a spot where it says interval. So that like, if 3 hours seems like a lot to you, just watch half, like 90 minutes one day, 90 minutes the next.
Okay.
But
nice.
The other thing that's very iffy about me recommending Netflix one to people is that, and I might butcher the pronunciation of this because I'm always bad at pronunciation, but RRR is a Tollywood movie, not a Bollywood movie. And that means that it is in Telugu, not in Hindi. However, Netflix only has the Hindi dub. The Telugu rights are at some other streaming service that's specifically Indian films. It's very weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, so my point is you got to be able to handle a dub because it will be dubbed in a language that is not the language you're reading. But you still need to, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it throws me off when I've seen clips of it.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah. Because obviously every movie, well, not, I guess this wouldn't be obvious, but like every movie in India is pretty much released in 3 languages. It's available in English, in Telugu, and in Hindi.
Hey everybody, my name is Jordan, and you've probably heard me on an episode or 2, but did you know I also have a baking channel? Bluebell Bake is by the amateur baker for the amateur baker. On the channel, I'll be posting recipes, tips and tricks, and more so we can all learn to better our baking skills. You can find my channel on YouTube at Bluebell Bake, we're currently posting monthly, or on Instagram and TikTok, both at bluebell.bake. Come join our little community where no matter what happens, we keep on baking.
Don't you wish there was a pop culture review site that appealed to cinephiles, both professional and casual? Well, look no further than crpwrites.com. New content such as movie and TV reviews, film essays, and more are released every week by writers who crave for movies like every moviegoer craves for popcorn. CRP Writes is dedicated to making sure no one is wasting time or money where they shouldn't be. After all, you have to be able to buy your popcorn and eat it too. crpwrites.com. Casual reviews with purpose since 2018.
Duly
But
noted.
my claim to fame there is that during Not To, actually no, it's okay. It is a claim to fame. Is that the Variance Films, which is the distributor of RRR, was tweeting out like clips they took of the screening. And there's a moment during Not To, which is the big dance number, the one that's Oscar nominated. You can hear like one guy just start screaming. I'm like, oh shoot, that's me.
That's awesome.
I was just so moved by it.
You guys, you guys send me that video.
I'll have to find it. It's buried, but I will find it. It's just really funny. I'm just sticking. You can hear my voice clear as day in there.
Here,
Yes,
you heard it here first. This is an exclusive interview with Danny Vincent, the guy who screamed in that one clip with RRR.
It was so good.
This is the guy.
That's me, the guy who screamed. Look, if you see, I fully believe RRR will be a movie that the Music Box shows like once a year.
Uh-huh.
And if you ever go to a PAX showing of it, you will understand. Honestly, I think if you watch it at home, you will still understand why this movie is like a big deal for people.
Oh yeah, I know. I've like seen clips of it here and there. I'm like, this seems really good. I just haven't been able to like set aside the time for it yet. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty much.
to be
what
honest,
it
like
is
I
with me,
haven't
too.
like honestly, I have not watched a single movie in the past 2 months, and it's killing me.
Rip. Yeah, big rip. And then I have two other ones I want to talk about. One of them is in the complete opposite direction.
Uh-huh.
It's this indie movie titled The Sky is Everywhere. And I think that when people talk about best theatrical experiences, they talk about movies where, the audience really gets into it.
Mm-hmm.
And usually a movie that's good.
Yeah.
The Sky is Everywhere, I saw on a Tuesday night. It is an Apple TV Plus movie.
Okay.
That got a limited theatrical run here. And I really like the directors of her two films I've seen, which are Madeline's Madeline and Shirley.
Okay.
And so I texted my good friend Julius, I saw RR with as well. Actually, now I'm looking at this, I think I've seen all of these with Julius. But I'm like, do you want to go see the new Josephine Decker, that's her name, movie, the director's name movie? I don't really know much about it. It's getting mixed reviews, but she's usually interesting enough to like check out. And it's playing here on this day at this time. And Julius is like, yeah, sure. And so the two of us go along with another friend of ours who I think you might know. Do you remember Ellis from college?
I don't think I know
it's
it,
fine.
Ellis.
No,
Okay.
I don't.
All right. Well,
Watch Ellis is
tags
gonna
along.
listen to this and be like, oh, I didn't make a big enough impression.
Ellis tags along, and I hadn't seen Ellis since school. And this was at the beginning of last year. We do this, and it's just the three of us there. We're the only three people in the theater. And the movie is not good. It is absolutely one of the worst things I've seen. But you can just feel the three of us not knowing if the other person is liking it or not. So it's just completely silent. And I wish I could remember the exact line, but there's one line in the movie that is just so ridiculous that I just go, what? and like we all just start laughing hysterically, and all three of us are just sitting there laughing, unable to breathe. And pretty much anything that happens in the remaining 30 minutes of the movie, we just laugh at everything that's going on.
Oh my god.
It's just the
Jeez.
communal realization that we're watching something terrible.
Exactly.
Was so magical.
Yeah. Love it when that happens.
As when it ended, I would just keep laughing, like walking to my car, like thinking about it.
That's
And
awesome.
Yeah, it was really a special experience. Because I think even watching that at home would not be the same. Because at home you'd pull out your phone, once you're thinking it's bad. And this,
Exactly,
we were
yeah.
all completely focused on the movie, not wanting to be rude to the other person, and then we just realized we all thought it was terrible, but like funny bad. But then my last one,
I love those moments.
yeah. A similar one, which isn't really a theatrical experience, is when I saw The Last Airbender.
Oh boy.
I saw that at
boy.
a drive-in, where me and my brothers had watched the show, so we knew it was bad. But my mom was like, "No, give it a chance. I don't want you guys talking during it. I think this might actually be good." And after 10 minutes, my mom was like, "All right, we could make fun of this. It's not good. It's not gonna get better." But then my last one, which is a controversial one, is The Last Jedi. And the reason I put The Last Jedi on here is because I think it speaks the most to the idea of seeing a movie opening night.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is, Kevin, I think you might have been at my Last Jedi showing, even though I didn't see it with you.
No, I was not. I did.
Oh, okay.
I saw like the weekend after it came out.
Oh, my bad. Then I must be mixing you. I think I'm mixing you up with Caleb, because I didn't see it with Caleb, but Caleb was at my screening.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I saw The Last Jedi opening night in Carbondale. And I think about the conversation around that movie. And I always think back to this showing, because this showing was before that conversation began. And there were moments in this screening where people were cheering like they were at Force Awakens. They were laughing. There was crying. It was the reaction you expect from, the sequel to The Force Awakens. That was not the reaction that followed. And to be clear, this is not like a discussion of the quality of The Last Jedi. It's just the fact that I treasure the theatrical experience I had, where it wasn't, because I remember I saw it even just a week later in Indiana with a friend of mine, and the people behind me were making fun of the movie during it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, this sucks, because when I saw it last week, there's a moment in that movie no one ever talks about anymore, because it's a throwaway moment that people don't think about when they talk about The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And it is in the third act where Benicio del Toro, betrays them, and Finn and Rose are left to die, and by the hands of what's her face, Captain Phasma. None of these other characters are memorable. And then an AT-AT comes to save them, and everyone watching at the time thought it was Benicio del Toro coming back, because that's the trope, like, for the guy to leave and then come back and actually be a good guy. But then the head gets ripped off, and it's revealed it's BB-8 underneath there, and the entire audience exploded at cheering at that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that moment a lot, because that is a moment that no one talks about that movie. That is a great moment in that movie, even if you don't like the rest of it, I think.
Right.
And it's a moment I would have never been able to single out if I hadn't gone opening night with the packed audience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Who wanted to like it.
Yeah, I wish I watched it with a packed audience, because I think when I watched it with the theater was like maybe like a quarter full. So
the word got out on Last Jedi pretty quickly.
Oh, very quickly. So
film.
Yeah. Like, part of me, I'm glad I watched it with like a quiet audience, but like it was also one of those movies like maybe like I should have been with an audience in that one.
Well, I
love it either way.
Because before then, I was like, I'm gonna wait to see this with my family, and I was glad I ditched my family and just went to see it opening night in a college town.
Yeah,
because I really did. Well, I think I still would have. I'm a big defender of that movie, but I think I would have still liked it a lot without it. But having that memory is very special to me.
Yeah,
so
it's awesome. Well, we're coming up on 30 minutes.
Sorry, I'm a big talker.
No, it's all good. I mean, we're all big talkers. So we're gonna just move on over to our final thoughts. For me, my final thought is movie theaters are cool. Working at one, not so much. But you get free movies, free popcorns, free soda. It's pretty sweet time. Just kind of like I want to give some honorable mentions to great for the movie theater experiences, like the Lighthouse at Music Box that Danny and I went to.
I think of that as a bad one personally.
It's not a fantastic one, but I did still like enjoy it. Like I enjoyed my time at the movie theater. I enjoyed like the moments where like the guy Willem Dafoe comes back with the axe. I'm like, oh shit! But the audience was
as a huge fan of the Music Box, and someone who will admit they fixed this since then. I think the Music Box's one flaw is their sound system, and I do not think the Lighthouse with their sound system was a good time.
No, no. I agree. I agree. I still enjoyed my time. I think it was also enjoying my time with you. However, another moment I absolutely love though. When we were watching Joker at Music Box, You hey, first of all, I hated that movie, but you went out and went to the bathroom, and then I just sat and watched the movie, and then the whole twist happens where where like the joke, quote unquote Joker's girlfriend, what turned out is not to be real, and then after the twist was revealed and settled, you come back and sit down like, what did I miss?
And weren't you just like, she's not real? And I was like, oh yeah, okay. Like, you know, like yeah, that checks out.
It was like out of all the scenes for you to leave, and I can fill you in later, you picked that one.
I still haven't rewatched Joker, so maybe I've just never seen it.
No, I mean, like, and also, like, I love watching Guardians. I mean, like, another one I love. Like, I was in the theater by myself for this, was As Above, So Below, a horror movie from 2014. Not a great movie, but like, I still had a lot of fun with that one. What about you, Ryan?
You know,
For me, I was probably like, okay, so I just want to mention some of these favorite experiences have been with my family. I love Equalizer watching it with my dad. It's one of our favorite movies. It's also the first R-rated movie I got to see. And so it's Shaft with my family because I think with the movie experience, you just got to have it with people you enjoy. You enjoy laughing at the moment. You enjoy talking about it afterwards. And then, of course, you know, just don't be crazy or obnoxious when the cool moments happen, but just make it fun. I'm mad the pandemic took away a whole year and a half of movie experiences from me, but I'm happy to have it all back.
Now that you said that, before I get to my final thought, I realized I was going to repeat an old thought of my former co-host of my Marvel podcast. Because Ryan said he didn't know it, right? Or was that something else we were talking about? I can't remember. Oh no, we were talking about the Gentlemanian thing with that.
Yeah.
But I'll give first my old co-host take, and then if we want to talk about Gentlemanians, we can. But it was that people shouldn't applaud or cheer at movies because it's disrespectful for the audience.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, that's what it was. I was like, I can't remember what this take was, but oh my god,
wait literally a day, like as someone who, or like a weekend, because this was about Spider-Man: No Way Home. Okay? And it was like, I don't want people. I was glad he was like, I'm glad my audience was respectful. And didn't cheer when like these characters appear because I wanted to hear the dialogue. I'm like, I'm sorry, when Andrew Garfield appears in Spider-Man: No Way Home, there is an pause. There is a long pause for applause.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is awkward to watch without the applause being there.
Yeah. Especially if like in a room full of people, it's just suddenly it's just really quiet.
Yeah.
I just remember my thing with No Way Home was that was a movie that I went into wanting it to be good, but also being ready to be cynical about it because I don't really like the Tom Holland movies.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time the Green Goblin showed up, my audience started cheering at the scene that he was in the trailer. I was kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to go along with this because, like, I haven't been in a screaming movie theater of cheering since Avengers Endgame, and this is December 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So I will cheer with everything my audience is cheering with as long as I don't think it's dumb, which there was one thing I thought was dumb that my audience cheered at, which is, of course, the meme. But I just remember the feeling of anticipation when after Andrew appeared, where it's like, you know, we're gonna try this again, and everyone knows this is when Toby's gonna appear if Toby's in the movie. So you just felt everyone on the edge of their seat, and then when Toby appeared, everyone's like, ah, you know. But like,
yeah.
But my final thought was, unless you do want to talk about Gentlemen, but I don't.
My response to that take, I didn't say it on the show on Why Is, but my response to it as a filmmaker myself, I would absolutely love it if people like cheered with the movie at the right moments, of course, like because it means that people are engaging with the movie and they actually care about what you made. So and they're not only care but also appreciate what you've made as well. So and it builds that sense of community that art creates. That we just don't give it enough credit for.
And that's what going to something like RRR is really exciting because it's like you realize that it's a global thing, you know. It's not just the Marvel movie or the Star Wars movie that gets it. It's, you know, seeing an Indian movie and people in India responding the same way, even though I saw it in Chicago. But you know, like it's very exciting that it's a global thing that people react to movies in this way.
Right. Movies are definitely I think the most universal art because it's a visual language, and visual languages don't have language barriers.
It's true. Very true. Although some movies travel better than others, but that's an
Oh, of
entirely
course,
different
of course.
topic.
Like, well, I mean, yeah, but like the main thing of the movie, like, if when a movie is made right, it utilizes its visuals to tell its story.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
Like Parasite did extremely well in America because of how great its understanding of the visual language is.
Exactly, and RRR the same way. You know, like RRR was a big crossover. Like, if you look up how much money they made in the U.S. and like in Europe, it's crazy big for an indie movie. But my final thought was revealing why I wrote down in the notes: movie theaters rule, everywhere else rules. But I realized I never really said why I asked to be on this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is I hadn't yet been on to pimp my Looking for the Ocean and Pixar Journey podcast.
Correct.
And a big genesis of that Pixar podcast is if you listen to why I was with Ty and Dan at all, you would know of my long saga to catch Soul, Luca, and Turning Red in theaters, which I succeeded at.
Yeah.
But the thing I want to talk about is when I saw Turning Red opening weekend in California at a movie theater, and that experience was something I will treasure when I see people talk about Turning Red as like a movie that didn't really catch on, or like a movie that people thought wouldn't necessarily, a movie that people say that a lot of the I'm trying to think of a way to put it, a movie that people say did about as well as it could have on Disney Plus. And like at the time, you know, the consensus was, oh, they're putting Lightyear in movie theaters because it was going to do better than Turning Red, which I definitely disagree with, having gone through you know, the release of Lightyear and everything. But when I saw that movie on opening weekend in California with a packed audience of kids, which, side note, there was a dance party before the movie, which was a little weird. I don't really endorse that. Yeah, there was a DJ there.
Oh, wow.
And before the movie, someone came up on stage and was like, I'm going to teach you guys all the dance to Nobody Like You. To the children. I was like, all right, okay. But, you know, I think me telling you all that is very important to tell you this experience, which is for the first 20 minutes, it was a little rough because all these kids were amped up by the dance party. And there was a little like murmur, but as soon as she turned into a panda, these kids were locked in, like very much like paying attention to this movie, to the point where you've both seen Turning Red, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
By the time the ending of like the third act of that movie hit, the cheering at points of that movie were on level with a Marvel movie to me. Like when she started twerking to her mom, the audience just burst down into laughter and cheering. Or like the reveal that the mom was like a kaiju walking over.
Yeah, that third act comes out of nowhere.
And it was like the feeling I had in that theater was literally I was whiplashing from crying from my laughing to crying at how beautiful like the movie was. And I'm like, this is exact, and like the fact that the audience was so locked into the cheering and like kids like laughing hysterically, I was like, this movie, I stick by that. If that movie got a normal theatrical release, even at the time, like, you know, because it was like came out in March, which was the end, I would say the end of like the time people were really like COVID recovering, if you get what I mean,
right?
Like culturally,
yeah.
I think that movie would have done more than Lightyear in March than Lightyear made in summer.
Probably.
Because it was very liked. All the negative criticism around it came from the natural negative criticism that comes from a streaming release.
Yeah.
And people have talked about this elsewhere, but you can just look at the reaction from Glass Onion during its theatrical run to its Netflix run and see like the clear difference. But I think if Turning Red had gotten in theaters, you know, it would be winning the Oscar instead of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. It would be, the song would have been nominated. It would have been a movie that people are still talking about rather than this thing that people keep coming onto my podcast where Mark will ask, hey, have you watched Turning Red? And the answer will always be no.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree.
But yeah, that to me was a very special theatrical experience. And it really nails why, to me, the theatrical experience is so important. Because when you rob a movie of that, you rob the movie of the memories that it deserves to have associated with
it's more, when you go to the theater, it's more of an event. It's going to last longer in your mind instead of like, oh, turning on the TV. Oh, what's on streaming on Netflix? Oh,
like
the Caligula, Yeah, sure. Let's watch that.
Like, I talk to my kids like at work about movies they talk about, and they talk more about the bad guys than Turning Red, and that's because the bad guys got a theatrical release, and it was something where like their parents took them to it. I think the only movie that I've seen, like, and it was because it was really in the heat of COVID that it happened, was Luca, that like really resonated with the children,
right,
as just a streaming movie. And of course Encanto, which blew up when it was on streaming.
Yeah, and Encanto also got the advertising as well by having their main song, We Don't Talk About Bruno, play on mainstream radio.
Yeah, definitely. Although Nobody Like You should have played on mainstream radio. It is a bop. I can't believe it didn't even make the Oscar shortlist of the top 15 songs of last year. That's crazy. Yeah. It should be winning. Other than maybe Not To. Although I'm personally hoping Black Panther wins because I'd like Ryan Coogler to be an Oscar winner. But that's all I'm. Is this episode coming out after the Oscars? Am I eating a lot of are listeners hearing this and being like, oh, well,
you know what? It might be coming
wrong.
out. It might be coming out right at the Oscars.
Yeah, I think so.
Very cool. Very cool. Then I'm making it under the wire.
Making a note, we are recording this on February 19th.
But yeah, that's why I love going to the movies.
Cool. Well, thank you, Danny, for coming on the show. We're going to wrap up a little bit, but before we wrap up, go ahead and plug your things.
Of course. You can always listen, since we were just talking about the Oscars. One of my podcasts is called the Snub Club, where we talk about the movies that has the most Oscar nominations but no wins at all. We are currently in the 1960s, which means we're starting to hit movies people have actually seen, which is kind of exciting. But then the real reason I came on was Looking for the Ocean, a Pixar journey, which right now, since this is in March, we are actually in a really cool spot where we're hitting a lot of movies in a row. I think we're doing Surf's Up, Ratatouille, and the Simpsons movie all in a row.
Oh,
summer of 2007. If you're wondering how those are related to Pixar, you can listen to my podcast because they are obviously Ratatouille, but the other two have connections to Pixar in big ways too.
Yeah,
but yeah, we talk about everything Pixar and we talk about everything related to Pixar. So
there you go. You heard it there, folks, and you can click on the links in the description to reach those shows as well. If you want to hear the rest of our thoughts on other topics, tune into our full episode over on Patreon. Link to that is also below. You can follow us on Twitter at Committed Crits, that's COMMITTED CRITS, YouTube Committed Critics, TikTok at Committed Critics. And special thanks to our current patrons: Davey Peppers from Game Mechanics, Ryan Kowalkowski from Ryan Plays Drums, Andy Phillips from Andy Phillips, Jody Wright, Brandon Morales, Devin Vonderhyde, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.